which has indicated that his true name is Dave Von Halfaker, and he has a score of a 7, which is a moderate on the Nevada pretrial risk state. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, that state is seeking $25,000 bail for Mr. Daystar. That's based on the underlying facts of the case. Number one, the stolen vehicle, as well as the 13.7 gross weight of fentanyl in his possession, as well as trying to flee from police when they contact him in the stolen motor vehicle. He is 29 years old at this time. He has one prior adult felony conviction that is for robbery. It occurred in 2000.
Next, we have Franklin Sacco, followed by Stephanie Brown.
Do you want to represent for this?
Okay, so you're gonna have to talk to judge.
Good morning, sir. We're here today for a first appearance bail hearing. Well, first appearance was yesterday, so we're here today for the bail hearing. Probable cause had been found. The public defender's office had not been appointed yet to represent you, as you had indicated that you wish to represent yourself. However, I'd like to see whether or not you qualify for the services of a public defender, at least for today. So what we'll do is I'm just going to ask you a few questions. All right, sir?
All right.
Approximately how much do you make per week, assuming that you are in custody?
In custody, I make $0 per week. Out of custody, I make about $500 a week.
Thank you. I appreciate that information. So I do find that you qualify for the services of a public defender. So I will appoint a public defender to represent you.
I like to
this
represent
time.
myself.
Okay. Do you wish to speak with the public defender there to see whether or not you wish to have her represent you for at least today's hearing? Then we can go
Yes.
through the requirements to determine whether or not you should represent yourself at a later time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Again, we did speak earlier this morning, so I am prepared to go forward if you would like me to do so.
Thank you. So, sir, what I'm going to have is have Ms. Raines represent you today for the bail hearing. And if you wish to represent yourself at a later hearing, then we can have that. We have to go through some steps in order to allow you to represent yourself. So we'll go ahead and state, are we ready to proceed with the bail hearing?
Jennifer and I are going to advocate for an OR release.
It's not our turn.
Yes, so give me one moment, sir. The first we turn to the state will present their argument, and then we turn to the defense where Ms. Raines will then present your argument.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I looked at this case yesterday and prepared the criminal complaint that we'll file on Monday. It was the decision to charge misdemeanor assault only in this case. So the state is going to be asking for bail in the amount of $5,000 for this defendant. That's based on the misdemeanor charge, number one, and number two, his very high NPRA score of 16. He does have a case pending in Sparks Justice Court where he now has his bail was revoked, and he's now, as of yesterday, was a $5,000 cash only bail in that case. It's a 4th degree arson. He did have pretrial services violations when he actually posted bail in that case, had pretrial services violations, and then committed this new offense and was revoked. In addition to that, he has a very, very lengthy criminal history. It dates
Objection, Your Honor, defamation of character.
So, sir, as I indicated, the way it works is the state will present their argument, and then we turn to you where then Ms. Raines will be able to then counter what the state says and make your request.
Just a little snapshot of his history. In 2022, he had a false statement and resisting convictions, trespassing ×2 and resisting, again, misdemeanor convictions. 2021, possession of drug paraphernalia, false statement. 2021, trespassing and destruction of property. 2020, trespass. 2020, battery. He does have, and it goes sort of on and on. In 2017, he has a gross misdemeanor attempted battery by strangulation. He's got, looks like a felony in 2011, assault with a deadly weapon, and then another assault with a deadly weapon in 2010. So based on his continued criminal activity, we certainly believe he's a risk to our community. He's also a risk to fail to appear or comply.
I'm innocent on all of those charges.
Based on his recent case out of Sparks Justice Court. So we do believe that a $5,000 bail is appropriate.
And what conditions are you requesting?
We would ask for DAS supervision with check-ins, no contact order with the victim and that address where he came into contact with the victim. I also would ask for a no controlled substance clause with testing based on, it appeared to be he was under the influence at the time of the incident.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Defense?
Thank you, Your Honor. At this point, we would really like to get my client to some behavioral health treatment services. He personally is asking for an OR release to go to the Reno Behavioral Healthcare Hospital. We were able to speak with his mother this morning, Ms. Jones. She does not reside in the state of Nevada. She lives in California, and she expressed to our investigators some deep frustration with the lack of services that have been available to him, that they've been trying to get him into services, including twice trying to get him into Bristlecone just this past week. So they've been trying to get him treatment services and have been running into various roadblocks, resulting in him being at the jail. So his request would be an OR release to Reno Behavioral Healthcare with ongoing services in the community. He's no objection, certainly, to the no contact with the victim or the named address. And he acknowledges that he uses controlled substances, and so no objection to the testing and monitoring for those.
Thank you. I do find that the state has proven by clear and convincing evidence that bail is necessary in order to, as there are no least restrictive conditions that can be imposed to ensure that Mr. Sacco, or how we have it in the Nevada pretrial risk assessment, as that his name is Morgan Persinger, that he is, that there are no least restrictive conditions that can be imposed to ensure that he is not a danger to the community based off of the NPRA score, as well as
Yes, I'm not a danger to community.
allegations as
I'm a very
outlined
peaceful
by the state. So
citizen.
sir, it is my time, sir, it's my turn. And so there, I will be setting bail in the amount of $5,000. Sir, if you are able to post that bail amount, you'll be required to be supervised by the Department of Alternatives Sentencing. You are required to check in within 24 hours of your release. You will be required to abstain from using any controlled substances, alcohol, and will be required to perform random drug and alcohol testing. You can also not possess a firearm or weapon during the pendency of your pretrial release, as this is a allegation of a crime of violence. So there is that nexus. I also find that the drug and alcohol testing is required based off of the NPRA, as what indicating that there are substance abuse issues in the past, as well as his criminal history. I'm also ordering a no contact order with David Lee, as well as the address of 530 Elko Avenue. Defense, if you are able to provide proof of acceptance into any of those programs, that could be determined to be change of circumstance. However, I'm not going to grant that at this time, based off of the high NPRA, as well as the risk of flight that is indicated in the NPRA, as well as a criminal history. I don't have the information today to believe that that is the least restrictive means. So that is the order of this court, and we'll go ahead and set a 72-hour hearing. And Madam Clerk, when will that be? July 7th. Thank you. So we'll see you back here on July 7th at 9:30. Thank you. Good morning, sir. We're here for a first appearance bail hearing. Probable cause has been found and the public defender's office has been appointed to represent you. State, are we ready to proceed with the bail hearing?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, the state will be seeking $20,000 in bail on Mr. Baez's case. Obviously, the underlying facts show violence. The state is concerned about the entry into the ex-girlfriend's trailer, as well as spraying her and another male with bear spray. He scores a 9 on the MPRA. I can tell you that in 2023, he had a misdemeanor arrest for a probation violation by DAS. He had a criminal contempt arrest, and he had a possession of drug paraphernalia out of Reno Justice Court conviction. He had a 2021 assault conviction out of Sparks Justice Court, which I believe is where that probation violation stems from. He was originally granted probation with a 180-day suspended sentence. He was revoked in this year, 2023. He did have a failure to appear during the pendency of that case. And then he had pre and post-sentence violations with DAS supervision. In addition, he has obstructing and resisting from Reno Municipal Court in 2019, a domestic battery first conviction in 2014. That case wasn't concluded until 2020 based on numerous post-sentence failures to comply. And then in 2012, he has an obstructing arrest, but there was no disposition. So he does have history. He has some violent history in those domestics and assaults. And so based on that, the underlying conduct and the NPRA score of 9, the state believes that I believe I said $25,000 bail is appropriate in this case.
Thank you. I just want to confirm 25, correct?
Yes, 25.
Thank you. Defense?
Yes, Your Honor. Based on the facts of the case, we agree that some cash bail is appropriate. However, the client can afford at most $1,500. We would ask that be with a 10% cash option. I would point out that the criminal history mentioned the 2012 offenses. Those were committed while the defendant was a minor, and so shouldn't be appropriately referenced as part of his criminal history. And so again, we would ask that bail be set at $1,500 with the 10% cash option based on what the client can afford.
Thank you. And then just to confirm, the criminal history that you were requesting for the court to not consider this as a juvenile, is that, just to confirm, that is not what was contained in the Nevada pretrial risk assessment? That was just by the state?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Stan, can you confirm regarding the allegations of the arrest of the home invasion? I don't believe that qualifies for the 10% cash option. Is that correct?
I'm sorry. Yes, I was going to ask for that. No 10% cash option, category B.
Thank you. So I know that the defense requested that, but just because of the nature of the charges, there's the administrative order that Torino Justice Court is unable to assess the 10% cash option. So, sir, do you find that the state has proven by clear and convincing evidence that bail is required in this case, as there are no least restrictive means that can be imposed to ensure that you are not a danger to the community based off of your criminal history? And just for the record, I'm not considering the allegations that were made while you were a juvenile. I'm not considering that for today, the purpose of today's hearings in imposing a bail. But I do find that with your criminal history, and then with, as outlined, as a high risk on the Nevada pretrial risk assessment as a 9, including with crimes of violence, that you do pose a danger to the community, and there are no least restrictive means that can be imposed to ensure that you are not a danger. I will be setting bail in the amount of $25,000. That'll be bondable with no 10% cash option. If you're able to post that, and even if you're not able to post that bail amount, you can have no contact with the 2 named victims in this case, of Candace Evan or Levi Trulson, and you can also have no contact with the address listed at 1439 East 7th Street. You will be required to be supervised by the Department of Alternative Sentencing, so you must check in with them within 24 hours of your release. You also cannot possess any firearms or weapons because this is a crime of violence, and so that is the nexus in order to require that. Regarding the bail amount of $25,000, as in, for the reasons outlined by the state, that is why I believe that $25,000 is appropriate. I do note that your attorney has asked for a reduced amount to cover based off of the facts and circumstances in your criminal history. Unfortunately, that is the amount that I do believe is reasonable and appropriate in consideration of all the factors that I am required to consider for today's hearing. So I will set a bail in that amount as I discussed with those conditions, and your 72-hour hearing will be set for July 7th at 9:30 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you.